was like 11th hour. Okay. All right, we're about ready to start. Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Sparta Township Planning Board. Thank you for those joining us here and online. For the record, this meeting is being held on August 19th, 2026 at 7:01 p.m. in the Sparta Township Municipal Building, located at 65 Main Street, Sparta, New Jersey. And a live stream can be viewed on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@SpartaTWP. Please note that adequate enough public notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. No new business to be conducted after 9:30 p.m., and the meeting will end at 10. Let us begin with a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carrie, would you please call the roll?
Here.
Michael Wallace,
Here. Here.
Joan Furman,
Here.
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Burke,
Here.
Ryan Zimmerman,
Here.
Judith Bosler. Here. Chairwoman Luciano.
Here. Okay, so, as today is August 19th, many people in Sparta know and understand that this is when packets have gone in for the Sparta Town Council race. I just want to wish luck to all of the candidates who are about to enter onto the political stage. That having been said, as far as the agenda is concerned, we have no current minutes, we have no current resolutions. We're moving forward to the public hearing section of the agenda for the Lake Mohawk Country Club ordinance, and I will pass the microphone to Ken.
Hello, gang. So thank you, David and Lindsay. In your package, you have the engineer and the planner's analysis. One of the reasons for the public on the agenda, it says public hearings, is that we're not doing this in closed session. There is transparency and we're discussing. It's still in a work in process, but if this board gives me the direction that I need, we'll be able to put this in its final form. But it's up to the board whether or not you wanted to accept public comment because it's still at a draft stage. But it's always been your policy to allow reasonable public comment. But again, for the public, this is in a draft stage, and this is more of a work session, which is being held in the public. So if we look to the draft ordinance, there were some comments that we should incorporate. Well, let me start off by saying the concept here is that the Lake Mohawk Historic District be preserved and protected. And there's been some confusion on White Deer Plaza and Boardwalk. There's been confusion on TCC zone and other different zones, C1 zone. So the overall direction that has been given to me is preservation of the historic district. So what I did was I took Lindsay and David's comments, and just you'll see handwritten on the first page, we're talking about the character of White Deer Plaza and the boardwalk. So I put in the boardwalk. On the second page, you see where we have restaurants David had pointed out, and it's not my best drafting. I hand wrote and outside dining. That should really be restaurants with or without outside dining, but not including drive-in. So drive-in is not, but restaurants with or without outside dining is something that should be a permitted use. There was some concern on number 6 as to off-street parking. So this permitted use does not extend to parking on public roadways and is limited to a parking lot, or I just put a off-street parking lot, just to give a little clarification. On section C in your package, Joan and Birgit had made reference to TCC zone and some of the positive aspects of those design standards. So I just made reference there that we should discuss that. And the rest of the ordinance is really just kind of boilerplate. I think the conversation should really go, and thank you, Joan, your comments that you laid it out. on Jones' comment attached, current TCC zone and proposed changes. And if we go through those, if we look at principal permitted uses on Jones' email, number one, stores or shops of retail business or wholesale display entirely within the confines of a building, no change there. Number two, banks and offices for business, executive, and professional purposes. Joan is suggesting that we delete banks, and I'm just going to go through the list first. Number three, opera houses and theaters and motion pictures, propose that, delete all that. Bed and breakfasts, it's clear that you do not want the bed and breakfasts. Joan's comment suggests changing from a permitted use to a conditional use and adding definition and conditions. We can talk about that. Restaurants.
Just to interrupt for one
Yeah.
second here.
Yeah.
This was comments to the, I don't know what version number it was, but not the last one, when they still had bed and breakfast in. And the version now that's being presented, it's totally out anyway.
Good.
Correct, yes.
Good. Then number seven, second floor apartments over retail, office, but not over service station, public garages are, and there was concern here, highlighted area proposed existing or approved at the time of passage. There was some comments there, so noted. Bowling alleys, sports centers, suggested that be deleted. Institutional uses, nonprofit lodges, and that suggest adding residential homeowner association of at least 300 members. And Joan goes on, then number 10, houses of worship, churches, cemeteries, to take that out. Parking lots, the reference there, parking lots otherwise prohibited as principal uses. And, that's for discussion. Apartments and multiple unit buildings, suggested that be deleted, and proposed new language, accessory buildings, customary incidental to the above should be permitted. So those were some comments that were given. Lady Chair, I think it would be good to have a conversation. Maybe Joan, you may want to start, because they were your comments.
Sure. Well, 1, 2, and 3 are self-explanatory for that. The bed and breakfast is,
The public doesn't have access to this. Is that something that we should?
Yeah, this is a work document. It's a document in,
Okay.
it's a document in process.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
not a
you
public.
did mention the public hearing and all of this, but you.
We're
this meeting
discussing it
discussed-
in public. Yes, yes.
okay. Number 5, restaurants, but not including drive-in restaurants. And Ken, you said you already made a change to that, so we would incorporate what you added.
Yes.
I don't have the proper wording, but we can put that in there. Second floor apartments over commercial and office establishments. Right now, they are allowed in the TCC zone. I asked Sabina the last time she was here, how many buildings did not have apartments over them at the current time, because I didn't want this to result in spot zoning. She said she didn't know. But I kind of drove by, and the only ones I can really find, I know Ernie, last time you mentioned St. Moritz, but they have apartments over the back building. And Crow's has a second story on it already, so instead of apartments, they now have a second floor for the restaurant. So I believe that only leaves 9 West Shore Trail and Coldwell Banker. And spot zoning, so it's usually if you favor somebody in a certain zone and you're giving them like extra privileges. But in this case, it might be considered reverse spot zoning. So I just wanted the legal interpretation on that one.
It could be, look, that's why there's so many lawyers in the state of New Jersey. Someone could say that it is spot zoning. Let's discuss whether, on the merits of it, do you want to have in the historic district second floor apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments, but not over service stations, public garages, or dry cleaning establishments?
I comment on just that one.
Mhm.
So, in my humble opinion,
Microphone?
oh, sorry about that. I'm so loud, I'm not used to having to need one. So, to this point, and I'm just speaking now specifically on number 7. Dry cleaning establishments are not allowed according to what you've got now in the zone. So I think we could take that out because it doesn't apply. And honestly, I think not having apartments over service stations or public garage, in my view, that's a safety issue.
Correct.
So to me, I think that that is not spot zoning because I think that's
No.
more of a
The
safety
service,
thing.
right now, the service stations, public garage, and dry cleaning establishments, that's already prohibited.
Okay,
I just highlighted it because it was prohibited already.
right. And I think
But I'm
there
asking
are
about the other part.
apartments in that Caldwell building. It's contiguous, and I think there are apartments in
And
the front of
you know
that.
what? And they might have them
There are.
downstairs. I know Angeloni's has them downstairs.
And so
So-
does underneath by Casamela, Casa Mia,
Mhm.
over by the Elks Club. Like, there's all apartments all in there.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a spot zoning thing
Well,
because
no,
they
that
already
speaks
have
to
them.
spot zoning now because now it's only 9 West Shore Trail that you're talking about. And I think it's going to end up being an issue, not my issue to fight, but just don't want to get us in a position of putting ourselves, that's why I'm looking for the legal aspect. If you're taking one building and you're signaling it out,
But doesn't this, I don't think to me that it's, help me understand where it's one building. Because what the whole thing says is based on what's there now, right? And I'm not understanding where this is just specific to 9 West Shore Trail.
because they changed, remember I said this was an earlier version? But
Yes.
what they have changed now is saying second floor apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments that are existing currently. So every other building has something currently except this one building. And 7 West Shore Trail, we know, is already being, having its own specific zone for the affordable housing.
That's 5, right?
Oh,
We're talking
5,
about 5.
5.
Okay.
Right, so that just leaves 9 as being the only one singled out.
The only one that does not have?
Yeah, that's what we're figuring, yeah,
Doesn't have pre-existing as of today.
correct. So it would only apply to the one,
So if we just took that clause out that says pre-existing as of today,
then we're good. And then they
Then-
can just come on their own merits if they want.
Wouldn't that just be, they'd be existing non-conforming if there was one today, right? It would be an existing non-conforming condition, similar to, say, a two-family house in a single-family residential zone that pre-existed the ordinance amendment. So it wouldn't be spot zoning.
Yeah, I
It
think
would be
the,
spot zoning if you didn't include one lot in that and said all lots except lot 9.
But that's exactly the intent of it. That's what it boils down to. The rest of the whole White Deer Plaza would be non-conforming then.
so it's number 4 on the proposed discussion. It says apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments. So the question is, number 4, apartments on the ordinance itself.
Oh.
So the very second page of the ordinance.
Mhm.
Number 4, apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments. And the question is, do you want to just, that would be a permitted use, apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments. It says existing or approved at the time of this packet, chapter. So that's the question. Do you
But-
want to go?
could you make them a conditional?
You could put on conditions. You can say apartments over retail and commercial establishments, and then say, based upon certain conditions. Lindsay, any thoughts on if you want to say apartments are permitted over retail, commercial, and office establishments if they have off-street parking, or if they have, I'm not sure, if they're less than X dwelling units? You know, there are, or you just say, this is just saying they're permitted uses.
Yeah.
Can I, before you answer, I'm just trying to keep caught up because there's a lot of different discussion. So if I understand 4, just want to make sure I understand before I hear the answers. That says anything that exists today is a permitted use. Anything that doesn't exist today would be what?
It would need a use variance.
So what,
Discussion is, do we allow them
Right.
going forward?
yeah, and the ordinance is just saying that anything that's pre-existing is lawfully existing, non-conforming moving forward, which would technically be implied if you change the ordinance anyways.
And I think what the conversation was, if there's only one property that is affected or prohibited by this, is that spot zoning. And I don't have the opinion of yes or no, but that is an issue.
So we're saying there's one existing property that has
With-
a residence above.
it
No,
has-
that
that
does
doesn't
not.
have.
I actually think there's two. I think
There's
the
two?
doctor's, the dentist's office
I
doesn't
mean,
have
in my
apartments over
opinion,
it.
spot zoning would be
Because the
looking
top
at one
floor's the
lot
dentist.
and saying, this lot is not included in this ordinance. That would be spot zoning. Every lot in this an overlay can have this except one lot. That would be spot zoning.
Right.
That's it, yeah.
But that's not saying,
So
that's
it's
not saying this
implied-
lot
This
is,
is not implying this is spot zoning, the
no,
way it reads now.
no. There's
If we
just
were,
one.
if we were calling it out, it would be.
But it would be the same thing if you said no more restaurants beyond this point. So then are we now spot zoning for the restaurants that are existing?
Right.
Or a bank?
All right, so the
Well, that's
discuss-
general. It's not one property that's being
But
singled
we're not
out.
calling out
But
this
I'm
one
just saying
property
if
in
you- if
here.
you were-
And I think the dentist office also does not have apartments. Because the top suite, I think, is the dentist office, which is gonna be the
Maybe.
school. So I don't think there's
And
only
it's
one.
going to be something else, but it allows for something. I don't know. I just don't want to get caught up in that, and that's why I
There's
said I'm
also the
just looking.
boardwalk
Maybe
club.
Ken, you research it a little bit more and we'll come back to that one. And there are things in place that do talk about the square footage because they could be 2.5 stories and the third story or the half story or whatever, the square footage has to be 50% of the second floor square footage, so half. So that does limit as well, because I think you were asking that question. But let's come, we
But
can
these
come
are
back to that.
These are generalized
Mhm.
broad strokes, not specific.
Mm-mm.
So that's the intent of this ordinance, not to start going down the batting order of all the properties within the district. It's to put a general ordinance over the district to then be,
Yeah, and I think the thing is too, is once you make it a condition and you put conditions, you have to have parking. Well, you have to have parking if you want the use, right? You have to meet the parking standards. I think there's other ordinances in place that
right, they have to
support, you know,
comply with
things
the
like,
other ordinances.
yeah, there's height, you know, requirements, there's setback requirements. So there's all these other things that are gonna govern the way the building is constructed. So I think right now it's just saying second floor apartments over retail and commercial for the whole, that's what the ordinance is saying, right?
Yeah, what's approved
It's-
now remains approved.
Yeah.
As a pre-existing non-conforming, they all become non-conforming uses then.
Yeah, just like if you,
No,
just like
fine.
all the, if there is a bank in the area, the same thing would be, so we wouldn't, we're taking banks out, right? So in the same area, if there was a bank and now we're saying no more banks,
This is
Right.
very, very different, though. There aren't like 100
I'm
banks.
just looking at as
There-
use, right? Very black and white,
Mhm.
use. We're saying one use is no longer permitted in the zone. It previously exists, it exists today. It can continue to be used in that manner forever until they make a change, right? Until there's a change in it. It can't go back to being that use again. So I think when we just say use, it becomes much more black and white and doesn't become, we don't have a bias towards what the use actually is. So
So what's your recommendation to simplify number 4?
So I don't know if I'm looking at the right thing, because number 4 on mine right now says bed and breakfast, because I'm looking, I think what we're talking
Number
about is
7.
7, right?
Number
No,
7.
it
No.
depends.
No,
it's
it's
number
of the
4.
actual ordinance,
Go to-
not
go to the
her,
first page,
No.
go to the
not
first-
Joan's
first page.
email, the
First-
ordinance.
Second
Going
page
back.
now.
Page 2, Lindsay, page 2.
Got it. Apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments existing or approved at the time of the passage of this chapter.
Right.
Right.
So basically, they're saying anything before this is approved, right? So
Pre-existing.
pre-existing non-conforming.
So to
That
answer
makes no
Ron's
difference then whether
question,
you
though,
have apartments or you have that language, because either way, it's existing non-conforming.
Right.
Yeah, so every apartment that exists today, which is almost all of White Deer Plaza, will become pre-existing non-conforming. I think that was your question.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
my understanding.
yeah.
And if somebody wanted to do something new,
They need a variance.
If somebody
would have
had
to- they would
2
have to do
units
a
and they want to make
variance.
it 3, then they would need a variance.
be variance.
Yeah. But if you have 2 units right now,
Which, by the way, is exactly how it is today.
Yeah, and you have 2 units now and you don't do anything, you don't want more units, you keep it as 2 units, you can keep it that way
Right.
without having to get variance relief.
So it's not adding to or detracting from the design standard aspect of your ordinance, just, it's a use aspect.
It's
That's
use.
just saying, exactly, this is how it is today, and we're gonna continue doing it.
You can continue doing it lawfully based on the ordinance.
So the discussion is on number 4, apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments existing or approved at the time of passage of this chapter. That's the current language that's in there. And the issues are that if they are an apartment over the retail, commercial, office establishment that's existing or approved, they become pre-existing non-conforming. If there was discussion, if you took out the language of existing or approved at the time of passage, you take that out, that's merely saying that apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments are permitted. It's not giving any conditions on the numbers or dwellings, it's just saying that use is permitted.
And I don't know if that's really up for us to decide. That's why I want to punt it back to you and maybe look at some legal things and come back to us.
Why don't we just take out, why don't we just say apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments? And leave that last piece off.
And
You would just remove it as a permitted use.
no, it's now.
No, it's a
No.
permitted use.
No, no, I'm saying though,
The opposite of what we're
but
trying
I'm
to
saying
do.
if you take it out as a permitted use, right? There's no difference then, because once it's adopted, it's no longer a permitted use. So if it lawfully existed prior to it being permitted, and then you took apartments over retail out completely, it's the same thing
No,
as
she's
But
having.
I don't want to take
no.
them out.
She's
No,
saying
I'm
having
saying-
the first part.
I'm saying it's the same thing, though. I'm saying, right now, you're saying at the passage of this ordinance,
They wanna
apartments are
permit
no longer
apartments.
permitted, right?
No, no, no.
If you,
Under
No, it's
permitted
backwards.
uses, under
it
permit,
says
so
office
number
establishment
4.
existing or approved at the time of this passage of this chapter.
That's what,
That's
that's what
That's
Chris
what I
is
wanna
saying,
take out.
taking out.
Yeah.
Let me try something, because there's 2 pieces you gotta look at here. If you look at the permitted use, all the permitted use is doing is saying, here's what exists today, it stays exist. So
Mhm.
that sentence, in my opinion, could be there or not be there.
Yeah,
But then, going forward, under paragraph, where is it? I think this was a conditional use, yeah, under paragraph D. So it's not a permitted, it becomes a conditional use, which has a certain set of conditions that go with it, which sounds like the right thing to do. Again, it's what they're doing today, I believe.
No, today it's TCC,
Um,
and it's allowed.
okay.
It was replaced.
No, right now, it is the TCC
TCC,
zone.
this, it will be its own zone, so TCC rules will not apply to this,
Right, but they do today.
but they will not moving
Correct.
forward.
So the question to me, again, I'm going to try to keep it, in my view, simple. Right now, all it's allowed is what's there today. If we want to, that's what we want to go forward. If we want to have it going forward, we either make it permitted use or conditional use or prohibited use. Those are our 3 choices. The way it's written up here, it would become a conditional use, which I think has the right things that says, if you're going to do an apartment, you got to meet these conditions in addition to everything else,
Clean.
which makes sense to me,
I think that's clean.
which is.
Do you agree with
exactly-
that, Lindsay?
yeah, I think the way what I'm trying to say is the way that it's currently written is confusing.
Yes.
And it leaves it open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So having something directly as permitted, prohibited, permitted with conditions is the better way to go, rather than leaving the gray area out there. Is that the way it's currently written? Ken, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Right,
I think
is-
it's written in a way that is very confusing.
Right, the original drafter of this was saying a permitted use, apartments over retail, commercial, and office establishments that are existing and approved at this time. And then paragraph D, the proposed says it's a conditional use for anybody new.
Right.
Subject to those provisions in 18-4-7, which is, I understand, the TCC zone standards.
So then number 4, in essence, should just point to paragraph D.
Or we could say.
It should just
yeah.
be D1, apartments over retail. That's
Gotcha.
what it should be. It
Okay.
should, apartments shouldn't be as a permitted use, in my opinion. It should say conditional uses, apartments, and then it has your conditions
So you were
underneath it.
saying take out 4 completely and then put a D.
And you move it to D, and then you put the
But-
conditions of how it is, must meet parking requirements, things like that.
But it's
Whatever.
already in D, so it's really just delete 4 and
Yeah.
leave D as it is.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're saying.
And then you would have, I guess, here it
Works.
references what it has to be in accordance with. and
That's
then it
easy.
has- Yeah. Because the way it's written now, I understand what whoever drafted is trying to say, that it's a lawfully existing non-conforming use. So that when people come forward and they say this is an existing non-conforming use, they won't get punted to the zoning board, right? Instead, they can probably change out their kitchen and it's not gonna require a variance for an expansion of a non-conforming use.
So just for the public's sake, let's just summarize what we just said.
Yeah.
So I'll take a shot. So what we're saying is there is no permitted uses for new apartments over office buildings. But there will be a conditional use, okay? Which says you got to meet more conditions than the other buildings in the area.
Yes,
I think that's it.
that's correct. Yeah, so it's conditionally permitted.
I think that gets us there.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So we take out 4, just to clarify.
Delete 4.
We just delete 4 and move on.
Because 4 is there,
And then,
whether those words are
because,
not, by
yeah,
law, it's there.
it's listed as a conditional use in D.
It defaults down there.
No, I'm just clarifying
Yeah.
because we've done a lot of talking,
Yeah.
so, okay.
Yeah, it was just very confusing.
Yeah,
Catch.
agreed.
Okay, let's see. All right, bowling alleys and sports centers, it says,
Number 7, which document are you all looking at now?
the one with all the
Actual ordinance
comments.
or-
We're
Now,
going over the
now Joan's
comments.
going through her letter. This one.
It's attached.
No.
Girls' email.
With the red.
This one.
Can I make one?
Right here.
Again, since we're right on the same subject, and John, I apologize, but just, I think it'd be easier to discuss it here, is item 3, where it talks about an outside dining. I think that's intended also for existing uses.
Yeah, I already had that
Okay.
conversation with Ken
So we
before
don't
he.
need that there then.
So, yeah, so
Okay,
basically,
So that note comes out.
Yes,
So outside dining remains a conditional use.
correct.
Perfect.
For those that are confused, number 3 above, where I had my handwritten comment, it's fine. Restaurants are permitted, but it does not include dine-in,
drive-in.
drive-in restaurants. And then under section D, the conditional uses, outdoor dining is permitted as a conditional use in accordance with those other 18-4.7 conditions. Okay, good.
Okay, next one, we talked about this last time, for the institutional uses in nonprofit clubs, lodges, and fraternal organizations. And we voted on this already as a board and said that recreation should come out of there because, that's a 501c7 organization and the homeowners association is a 501c4. And there's no definition for recreation association. It becomes very confusing. And it's just easy enough to take it out. And since this, it changed a little bit where they put uses in and everything, but we don't have accessory uses for anything else here. I don't think it's the right place for accessory uses. So I would leave it as institutional uses in nonprofit clubs, lodges, fraternal organizations, and private residential homeowners associations with at least 300 members, period.
All right, so you're reading from number, if you look at the
I'm
proposed
looking-
ordinance number 5.
Yes.
Number 5.
I know, we're going back and
And you're
forth.
striking recreational.
Yes,
So
yeah, it's too confusing.
Can I ask another question on this? I think, because I think it makes more sense to go through this one by one rather than hopping all over the place. My concern, so I'm fine with taking out recreational and leaving it residential homeowner association. But if you read down a little more, it says associations with at least 300 members. How does that affect the Elks Club? Because that's a by-member organization and it's not part of the HOA. And I don't know if someone can tell me if they have 300 people, but I'm not thinking that they do. And I want to make sure that they are not, because their entire lodge is in here.
I didn't realize that the 300 members was for the fraternal organizations. I took that to mean that it was only for the homeowners association.
Okay.
Where does 300 come from, though? There's so many more in there. Why don't we just strike that altogether? You don't need 300 written in there. And that way, nobody will get confused with the Elks and the,
So the thought is strike with at least 300 members
yeah.
and just take that out.
So it would read institutional uses in nonprofit clubs, lodges, fraternal organizations, and private residential homeowners associations.
Right. And then it says accessory to this use includes playgrounds, beaches, docks, boardwalks, and ancillary structures.
But then that relates to everything, and that just doesn't belong in there.
I think the reason the number's in there is, what if somebody decides to form their own little tiny homeowners association with
Exactly.
20 members and, I mean, I think the idea there is to maintain that.
But then they'd have the parking
homeowners
issue as well.
association is Lake Mohawk, and that's it, period. The end. There's private clubs and everything else in there, but there's only one homeowners association in that, for that area.
Well, the 300 members is a qualifier, right?
Why don't we just say LMCC? Why don't we just,
Homeowners Association.
right,
There you go.
I like that. That takes all the guesswork out.
And to protect against, the other club, existing uses. So they're an approved use. So nothing we do here tonight affects
Right,
their ability to continue.
right. Whether or not they have 300 members, doesn't matter. That's their spot.
Right.
Right, so we have,
Look at the professionals to see if you agree with that.
I mean, the ordinance is historic White Deer Plaza and Boardwalk District.
Yeah, I think the 300 members is not related to fraternal organizations. 'Cause
That's
the way it's written, it could mean that.
No, not the way you read ordinances, is it would not. Because the way you read it is institutional uses and nonprofit clubs, lodges, fraternal organizations, and private recreational and residential homeowners associations with at least 300 members. So private recreational and residential homeowners association with at least 300 members is one. Yeah, but I'm saying that's how you would read the ordinance.
Yeah,
It's
so,
they're all separate.
all right, so, but I like Birgit's idea, LMCC Residential Homeowners Association.
Guys, we're
Very
getting
clear.
input from the outside audience that we need to use our microphones because nobody can hear what anyone is saying. So if everyone can please put your microphones closer because no one can hear what anyone is saying.
All right, so to move on, we're taking out number 4 on the proposed ordinance. Number 5 is being changed to the recreational language is being taken out and replaced. We're going to say, and private LMCC, and we'll define it residential homeowners association. And we don't need the with at least 300 members.
Yeah,
because
just
we
period
define-
after association.
I'm
I mean,
gonna
I don't think
just
we need
question that a little bit before we agree. So again, I'm going back to existing uses and future uses. I think what we're saying is we don't want future uses down there of this nature, unless they're of some size. We don't want the small ones there. So if we take out the with 300, we're allowing someone to come in with a homeowners association of 2 or 3.
But I think they want to add Lake Mohawk Country Club to it.
I'm okay with that, but it doesn't limit it to just Lake Mohawk Country.
Well, it does, if that's a permitted use and it's just
And-
saying LMCC.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
not
so it's
taking
limited
public yet.
to
We're still
Well,
waiting.
Why don't we ask Sabine?
Sabina's here, so,
It's up to you.
yeah. Sabina, if you wouldn't mind. Hello.
Thank you.
Actually, Sabina, if you wouldn't mind, I don't know if that microphone's on, but, if you can kind of come in and we can work with you.
Sure.
So I apologize for being late. And I very much appreciate this and the attention to detail that this board is actually placing on this request. But I'd like to give a little bit of background with respect to number 5 and the private recreational. That is really specific to the existing use of the tennis club. While that is LMCC property, it has a 99-year lease to be reinstated periodically to the tennis club. And so therefore, they have gone through most recently a conversion and minor expansion to allow for pickleball. They had been before this group, I believe. And so I would imagine that in the future, they would also have additional improvements, not necessarily associated with expansion, but wouldn't want to hinder that process with having a additional zoning requirement.
But they're already pre-existing, and, I mean, it's just like we're saying LMCC, Residential Homeowners Association, we could put an LMCC tennis club. That way, other recreational things can't be coming in there. You don't want a little miniature golf course in the back of 9 West Shore Trail. So rather, if it is specific to that, then let's just say it. We're looking to be clear.
Let me ask, could we say accessory to this use, playgrounds, beaches, docks, boardwalks, the tennis club, and ancillary structures? Or,
Tennis
and
club is its
ancillary
own club.
structures, including the tennis club?
It's not an
No.
accessory, it's its own club.
Its own
It says
standalone.
private recreation, so unless the miniature golf course is a membership-based miniature golf course, right?
No, 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 no. The
It's-
300 is only pertaining to Lake Mohawk Country Club, is what we're
It
saying.
says private recreational, so,
Two different things. The tennis club is a whole separate entity.
and it's a private recreational use?
It's not open to the members.
Not open to the members of Lake Mohawk Country Club.
But it's a
It's private
private
recreation.
recreational
It is-
use.
Yes, it's private
So say
recreation.
tennis
Yeah.
club,
Yes,
that
that
because
was
it
the point.
already
recreational use.
exists, just
Yeah.
like we're doing, identify it and just be clear. This is like so vague.
Private recreational, I think that's pretty clear.
Does that work? Samin?
Go ahead, Sabrina.
It works for our understanding and the way it exists currently.
So do we need private recreational, comma, and private residential homeowners association? Would that be more clear?
I just think we say tennis club, just like you wanted to make LMCC clear. Let's just say the tennis club, because this is going to lead to questions down the road
Well,
that
then is
are,
pickleball not permitted?
well, that's part of the tennis
Right, it would
club.
be a
Lake
ra-
Mohawk
right,
Tennis Club.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying if we say tennis club,
That's its name.
That's their name.
Right.
Well, you could just call it LMTC.
I'm just saying if you, private recreational makes sense. I don't know why we would need to recreate the wheel for that, but
Because it opens the door to other recreational things coming in that you don't want, and then it's going to be a permitted use.
which private recreational would want to be excluded from that?
We don't know.
You'd have somebody come into, say, 7 West Shore or 9 West Shore.
Yeah.
to-
Do a little mini golf in the
there's
back.
property behind, so
But it
you
would
could
have to
put
be
batting cages
private
there.
recreational, right?
Could
So
be.
it'd have to be a membership-based. I don't think anyone, I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't seen a membership-based miniature golf course.
But to Ernie's point, somebody could put in batting cages
Yep.
behind properties. That property goes back far, all of them do.
with
And what if like the
membership-based.
tennis club said, wow, tennis is great, but hey, we could put a little wing on and do batting practice, right? I mean, doesn't take a lot of space, but I get the point of it. I think the thing is, what is the clearest, cleanest way to the goal is, let's get through this thing in a way that makes sense. Let's do things that make sense and be clean and clear to move it forward. So I think what we're searching for is how do we address, is the thought we leave it at private recreation, or that we say private recreation, the same thing as before, like if it's existing now, it'll be existing, but you can't do it moving forward. It becomes a conditional, I don't know. I'm
I was
asking.
gonna say, make it a conditional use.
Make it a conditional
What,
use.
the tennis club?
Recreation, a conditional.
No, in the
No.
future going forward.
It'll be for going forward.
Recreational would be conditional.
If you're not gonna define a tennis club in that section right there, why don't you put existing in front of those? in
That's
front
what
of
I'm
private
saying.
Recreational. And then anything else other
But
than
why
that
not just
falls
say
down
tennis
to
club?
conditional.
Because we just did for LMCC, Residential Homeowners Association. Just make it clean and clear, as Chris is saying, and call it a day. Because it's going to lead to a
But-
lot of
but so now the
questions.
tennis club wants to expand into a pickleball
They already have.
and.
That's just their name. It doesn't mean that they can only do tennis. So they're doing pickleball under their
I
name.
just want, Sabina, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. Again, it's really to alleviate, because I know that the structure there itself is somewhat aged. So I know that that's probably going to have to require some kind of maintenance or upgrade. but, and alleviate them from coming in for a variance.
Right, so it'll still be their name, LMCC Tennis Club, but they
Okay.
want to do X, Y, Z.
That's fine.
All right, so are you saying on number 5, rather than say private recreational, we're putting private LMCC, Residential Homeowners Association, and LMTC? Or we're
An
putting-
LMCC Tennis Club,
No, it's not the LMCC Tennis Club.
No.
It's the
Lake Mohawk Tennis Club.
Lake
LMC,
Mohawk.
yeah,
Tennis.
it's individual.
Yeah, because it's not related to Lake Mohawk.
Yeah, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard you say that you can be a member of the tennis club without being a member of Lake Mohawk.
Exactly.
Ron, can you pull your microphone a little closer?
Yeah, we're trying to share one here.
Oh,
It is limited, though.
Yes, it is
It
limited membership.
it is
to
limited.
non-Lake Mohawk.
The primary members are members of the country club. And when spots open up, then members who are not country club members can join. But it is limited and they are charged a different rate.
So I think the point is just call it by the proper name, not
That's what-
LMCC.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so
The-
just for
The
the
Lake
record.
Mohawk Tennis Club and the Lake Mohawk Country Club Homeowners Association.
Got it. So if we take number 5, institutional uses, nonprofit clubs, comma, lodges, comma, fraternal organizations, comma, LMCC, Residential Homeowners Association, and Lake Mohawk Tennis Club, and I'll define LMCC in the draft.
Okay.
Should we put in 501c4 and 501c7 respectively, or is that too confusing?
I don't know if it's in,
Because it's an IRS designation and it's extremely clear in the IRS. You know, that's how
and
you
all
apply.
these with 501c.
Right, but
I
is
don't
that
know.
relative to land use?
No,
No, it's not? Okay.
I don't think so.
I mean, it works in my business, but I'm not exactly sure it works in,
Right.
All right, so I've got
Lindsay,
one more
what are your
question,
thoughts?
just to make sure that I understand, and I apologize again. So going forward, you've got institutional uses, nonprofit clubs, lodges, and fraternal organizations. We're allowing those to go forward as new entities? Or does that need to come out and just start the sentence with private recreational?
I'm
What's the
taking
intent?
private recreational out completely.
So we're allowing going forward institutional uses, nonprofit clubs, lodges, and fraternal organizations.
Comma, Lake Mohawk
Country Club.
Country Club, Residential Homeowners
Okay. If
Association,
that's the intent,
and
then
Lake Mohawk Tennis Club.
Just, I was ready to move on, but originally, the nonprofit club was Lake Mohawk. What other nonprofit clubs exist there now besides Lake Mohawk?
The Elks.
And that would be.
Well, that's a more of a fraternal lodge type,
Fraternal,
yeah.
Right, so do you want more nonprofit clubs? Maybe we just strike nonprofit clubs, because it covers Lake Mohawk now.
How do the Ski Hawks fit into this? Because they also have
because,
stores.
yeah, they are a not-for-profit
That,
club.
yes, but they're a club under our umbrella. So anything that they require is something that we put forward.
So what do you think? You think it should come out?
Well, with what is existing now, I mean, we would, certainly wouldn't want,
More nonprofit clubs,
uh,
because they don't have restrictions even on numbers now. The way Lindsay was saying, it's broken
Right,
out that the
mhm.
numbers only pertain to the country club.
given the fact that LMCC is identified individually, there is no reason then to include or have the category use of nonprofit clubs.
How about institutional? Maybe just say lodges, fraternal organizations, LMCC, homeowners association, and LM, Lake Mohawk Tennis Club.
But it should also keep playgrounds, beaches, docks, boardwalks.
Right.
Oh, that's
those are
accessory.
That's
uses
accessory.
that We don't
I think that
define it
should stay
fully.
on there. Those are real tangible things on there.
They should be accessory to
what it says.
LMCC, yes.
That's what it says.
Says
Yes, and that
accessory to
should
this
remain,
use
yes.
include Playgrounds, beaches, docks, boardwalks.
It says accessory
and
to this
ancillary
use.
structures.
Yes,
So I'm saying I think that should stay in the paragraph.
yes. The
Yes,
last
okay,
part of
so you
it,
agree,
definitely,
right.
yes. I think
Okay.
the question was whether or not to remove institutional uses in nonprofit clubs, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and I agree, unless we want to actually do the same and extend the, this provision to label the Elks Lodge directly.
But the Elks Club is a existing use. So, they're there as long as they want to be there, is my understanding. Whether it's, what is stated here or not, because they're an existing use, they're good to go, as long as they want to be.
Okay,
What's the difference between lodges and fraternal organizations?
good question.
I mean, now that we're really
I'm
dissecting
really
this.
not, yeah. It was to capture the use.
Designations as far as lodges, fraternal organizations, they're all different 501c3, and then the number.
Or,
C3 is educational, it's,
If they ever left, what do you want it replaced with? I mean, should we just, as we're doing this, say Elks Club?
A fraternal organization would be Rotary, Lions, Kiwanis.
Could it be
They could
religious groups
come
too?
in- That's, as far as I'm aware, fraternal organizations are not houses of worship. They don't have the religious exemption. They don't have that. It's my understanding that a fraternal organization would be Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions, Elks.
But I want to make sure if we're going that way, do we know that, or is that a
Guys,
guess?
let's not guess, because I think the Elks Club may be a lodge.
Why don't we
So,
just
I
call it
mean, we're
Elks
trying to
Club?
thread a needle here. Let's not trip everything up here, like, because, you're going after institutional, you got to define that. Non-for-profit, you got to define that. Lodges, fraternal organizations are two separate entities, two different types.
I think the
Elks
legality
Club
and the
is a
legal
lodge.
definitions, I think Ken's got some homework in terms of defining the legality of what each of these entities is, so that we have correct definitions and the right language.
Yeah, because we don't want to end up with a frat house, which is a fraternal organization, maybe.
Right,
right.
you,
And they may be a
we don't need
fraternal
sororities and
organization and a
fraternities,
lodge.
exactly.
So you're gonna mix and match here. I think you're trying to thread it, define it too much.
What if we
have to
just,
define it enough that we don't. cause
Well,
a
I
problem.
think that's why I think that's why Ken has some homework to do in this area in order to give us the appropriate
Find the
language.
right wording for it.
All right, Joan, keep going.
Okay,
All right, so we're leaving this one open for now. We're going to come back to it.
I guess. so.
Yeah, I got
Gotta clean
cleared
it up.
I'm going to clean it up.
And maybe, there's a separate area for accessory structures in the ordinance. Like number 7, when you go down to, it says accessory uses customarily incident to the above permitted uses, but it's only being detailed in this one. So,
Good, I'll
take a look at that. Okay,
Well, this,
I'm taking a look now.
so I would like to be specific with respect to the ancillary uses, because if that is the case, it would be unfortunate to include what is currently existing and as a separate accessory use that could possibly then be extended to the other allowable uses within that number 5.
Can you say that again? I didn't quite.
So in other words, if there is a small plot of property or vacant area and at the Elks property to put up a playground, that might be somewhat challenging, as opposed to protecting the allowable use and renovation of the existing playground associated with LMCC.
Right.
The accessory uses that are defined in 5 are specific to the country club.
Yes, that is true.
Right?
Mhm.
The accessory uses that are customary in number 7 cover
Would
what
be
you're talking
broad-based.
about, other
It's
properties.
Exactly.
outside of that.
outside of it.
That's the point.
So
you're
it
not
has to
merging.
stay. We
Mhm.
need it to stay.
All right, so then if it's staying, can you put in there within the, just so it's not confusing down the road, within the White Deer Historic Plaza District?
Well, that's
This
what
is
the zone
This
is.
whole thing is.
I mean, that's,
So blanket.
this is the zone.
Mhm.
So,
But
I
it only
mean,
pertains to that zone, not to the rest of Lake
Lindsay,
Mohawk.
David, just real quick, so the issue is number 7 says accessory uses customarily incident to the above permitted uses. Any thoughts?
I think you should keep those accessory uses associated with LMCC, right? Because accessory use is customarily incidental. It should be incidental as well to the other permitted uses. That's kind of a general thing, right? A house, it's something that's customarily accessory to a house is a shed, right? So it's saying you can have a shed, you can have a fence, you can have all these things. But I think these specific accessory uses, beaches, docks, I don't look at, obviously LMCC, everyone knows HOA, but I don't think it's customarily incidental for, a homeowners association to have a beach. So I
Exactly.
think having specific accessory uses for that specific use makes sense. So it should be like something like LMCC HOA inclusive of accessory uses such as playgrounds. And I think it should just be all kind of together.
So
Within
the way that it's
5.
worded in number 5.
5 is
Yeah,
limited,
that's
the
five.
accessory use is limited, the name 5 are limited to 5.
To 5.
Right.
And
Yeah.
limited
Not all the
to,
other
Limited
permitted
to
uses.
LMCC HOA.
Right.
Or
no,
the-
limited to the
I'm not
zone.
finished talking, but yes,
I
to
don't-
limited, no, it's limited to LMCC HOA, which is limited to this whole ordinance is just this zone.
Playgrounds, beaches,
This-
docks, boardwalks, and accessory structures are limited to 5 only, which is
Yeah.
LMCC. The other uses may have accessory uses that aren't listed, but they may
No,
have
no, I get
accessory.
that, yeah.
So I think the way it's here, it seems to work.
Yeah, the way it's written, I think is,
Maybe you
Right,
may
I
want to make
just-
5 clear that says, I don't think you need to, that these are limited to 5. I think it kind of says that because it's in 5.
yeah.
So I'm,
And then this is all the same zone.
right.
So it wouldn't be outside of the zone because this is specific to this zone.
Right, so it's not all beaches, it's not all playgrounds, it's not all docks, it's just the zone.
It's limited to 5. The thing that we are writing in 5.
Okay.
Right, what else you got, Joan?
It's taking this is not in my notes because this wasn't in the original one, but I'm taking a look at the lot and the blocks and stuff, and I just, I don't know if it's in here.
Yes, that's a good question.
Here it is.
Number E, there's a lot going on there. Block, boom, blah. So that is something that I would verify or just, have you verified that? You're-
it came from
You're
Lake
comfortable?
Mohawk.
Yeah, we are definitely comfortable with this. This is everything that is within that area and originally cited.
So on
s-
block 5024, it has, on the draft I have, lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in red, it has 10.
10,
Was that just one that was caught later? Is that-
yes.
Okay.
And
No,
where
it
is
was
10?
actually in the original, and then for some reason.
It
on
was
round
left off.
2, it was left off, and I pointed it out, and then it was added back.
Good, thank you.
All right. So looking at this
Can
picture.
can we, after this, is it possible for us to just go back to the beginning of this thing and go in order? And Joan and Birgit and anyone that wrote things can add it? Because I feel like without the public having these documents, we're jumping all over the place. And maybe it's easier to just address the stuff as it's listed in the ordinance. Do you guys have a copy of at least the ordinance?
There's no-
There's no paper there that has the ordinance on it, on the dais? Okay.
So is there a way just to maybe take a break? We got like 10, 12 people, just get 12 copies of the ordinance so people can have it in front of them?
Well, what I would suggest, because to be candid with you, there's some drafting that needs to be done here. And I don't want to have chaos, and there's no need to be here 2 more hours. I can very easily, from the comments here, put a draft that is on, and we meet every 2 weeks, on the next agenda that has, and the public will have a copy of that, incorporating these comments, which are pretty clear to me, and thank you. I'd like to end the conversation by, one of the confusions I have is your goal is to call this the Lake Mohawk Historic District. So we're calling it on this document C-HWDP Community Commercial Historic White Deer Plaza and Boardwalk District Zone. I'm okay with that, or do we want to simplify it and just call it something easier to digest?
Where did that language come from? There's a big,
That came from actually an adoption of, the C1H, but look, we're fine with abbreviating it to White Deer Plaza Historic District or White Deer Plaza Zone. That doesn't matter to us, so long as it has White Deer Plaza in there and we're good. That would be appropriate.
One of my suggestions, I don't even remember if I sent it to everybody or just to Ken and Lindsay, but whatever. We have now 6 TCC zones, and right now, White Deer Plaza is TCC, and TCC is all about the town center. White Deer Plaza is the original town center. So and I don't really care, but I was playing with it and thinking, how about TCCH? And it would be the historic part of the whole town center with its own designations.
I think the point of it, what we were calling it when we were talking about it was LMCC 1H. But I think the thing is, they want to get away from TCC.
Yes.
And I
It will
think
be.
I think continually dragging them back to TCC, the whole point of this is not to come up with something we already have with whatever. The whole point of this is to be specific to the historic nature of this district. And actually, my understanding, I mean, as much as that is definitely a town center, if you will, like if you want to say that, but the original, the whole town wasn't developed around Lake Mohawk. The town was here before Lake Mohawk was built, constructed. So really, Woodport Road was the town center originally, where the church is and where all of those buildings, all of those historic buildings are. So I think the whole point of this ordinance was to make you autonomous, to give you your own name for your own zone, and not just make it a subset of something else. Because that kind of, to me, the name, if we keep it with TCC, it lends it back to, there's some correlation.
The whole point was to decouple
Yes.
off the TCC. So
Yes.
let's lose the
All right.
TCC references.
It's not a big deal. I just did it because a lot of this is
Well, it-
going back
And-
to the
Respectfully,
TCC
Ken, if I-
standards and
And if I may,
design.
I think, Chris's suggestion, I think it would take quick 5 minutes. We're talking about 3 pages. I think we're through with a lot of the comments. You captured quite a bit of it.
I had one more new one based on Lindsay's report.
But what's in front of us, I think we're done with all the suggestions and edits. If
No.
I'm not, so why don't we just go down to dais and just go in order and work through the document and then summarize it at the end?
Well, one of the things I would like to do before we get there is hear from our engineer and our planner, since they actually did do a review and are the, educated parties, get their take on it before we continue to wordsmith a
Right.
document that we're not really very familiar with.
Good idea.
So, Dave, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure, just a few questions. I did, comments rather. I did do a report dated August 11th, 2026. Again, I pointed out the outside dining as sitting in the board has discussed that. I think the key thing for me was, do you want that as a permitted use or stick it as a conditional use? That was my one comment on that one, which way you wanted to go. The second comment I had was basically with regards to the parking lot. My recollection, I'd stand corrected, I know there was a site plan submitted years ago for the parking lot, and I know they were reconfiguring a lot of it and reconstructing a lot of it, and there was a question about the fees. And I know there was some discussion in here, it's in this ordinance, that, if I understand it right, non-members can be charged a fee, but I wasn't sure if that's how it was ultimately decided or not.
Yes, it absolutely was, at great expense to Lake Mohawk Country Club.
It might have been, I just didn't know.
Yes, it was. And actually, that ties to the opening up of the use of the parking lot in general for all of the people who are then frequenting the businesses at White Deer Plaza, and therefore their uses are not specifically restricted to the parking that is strictly on their property or available in White Deer Plaza and on the street there itself. So there is definitely a lot going on with the parking lot, and the language speaks to that, and that is why it is stated as such. And that is the way it was decided in the courts. And that was, I believe, 2016, 17? Mm-hmm.
And then the last item I had, I noticed when I was cross-checking what was in the ordinance versus the tax maps of the lots and blocks listed in the schedule, I saw where, if I understood it and read it right, the boardwalk has its own tax lot number.
That's correct.
But I didn't see that listed in the ordinance. And my recollection is some of the businesses open up in their doors over to the boardwalk. I didn't know if you wanted to specifically include the boardwalk itself in this schedule of list of lots.
Okay, so we can definitely take care of the boardwalk itself. However, the businesses that do business outside and on the boardwalk is actually their private lot.
But is that part of the zone? I mean.
Yes. Yes, to the point, yes, it should be. However, there may have to be, that lot actually extends all the way to Tamarack Beach.
What? I didn't understand that. The lot is going.
The boardwalk lot extends all the way to Tamarack.
So as a suggestion, it might be appropriate to have that block and lot listed up to a point X feet up from another landmark.
That's
just to
fine.
Describe it, limit it to the actual boardwalk area.
We can take care of that, no problem.
And those are my comments, Madam Chair.
That's a good catch.
I think that three of us can work on that, the engineers.
I think to Joan's point, if you didn't put the boardwalk in there, talk about spot zone, like the look of that. So, yeah, good catch, Dave. Em?
No, you're totally fine. And that kind of brings me to one of my main points in mind was just the ordinance is silent on restrictions on the waterfront properties. And in that sense, I think that we should at least refer back to the applicable regulations at like county, state, higher levels. And there's other municipalities that will do specific ordinances for waterfront properties, but I think in this instance, we should just rely on the overlying regulations that are given by the state. So I think if anything, we should reference that in the ordinance. And then also possibly, since this is going to be the historic area, we do reference the historic guidelines, but possibly adding additional design guidelines to, just materials, something as simple as, if we have specific types of street furniture or things like that for streetscape should be included as well.
I think it might be because Ken just changed with his comments back to the TCC for the design. On second page under required conditions. That's just for, I'm sorry, that's just for the required conditions shall be the same as TCC zone. Because
Yes.
TCC has a lot of those details in there already. But you're right, it is missing.
Honestly, I think, Sabine, aren't there specific guidelines that the club follows that already exist? Can't we just refer to those?
Refer to those, yeah. I think just having a reference, if you have
We
specific
do.
guidelines, I think
The
that.
town, well, see, the town has ordinances on, how far docks can go and dock construction and everything else for all the residential properties all the way around the lake. This area here is, there's no private residents.
Right.
That are on this portion here within that zone.
Sure.
So it would be only the country club that controls that
Yeah.
area. They.
It's exempt.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you still have regulations you have to follow.
yes,
Yeah.
we submit to the state.
Yeah.
You're gonna
I think just reference them.
You're gonna
Yeah.
reference them in a very general blanket
Yeah, I
sense,
think there should just be a reference to the guidelines for waterfront should be in line with
applicable at the time,
applicable
right?
At the time, yes.
Ken, would
Okay.
you agree that the lake should have some standards of throughout, that it be consistent?
But I think what Ernie
They
just
do.
said is
They
that.
do,
And
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
good. I'm putting some notes that, nothing herein shall mitigate or delete the existing waterfront regulations, but I'll work
Yeah.
on some language.
I don't
on
think that we should have adopt specific for this zone. I think we should just not remain silent on that there are applicable regulations that need to be followed at a higher level.
Except it does say LMCC is required to follow the same requirements as privately owned properties. So, and there are everywhere throughout here, it does not say in whether it's the policy and rules from Marine Services or the bylaws.
Well,
It's
that's what
all
we're
50 feet.
clarifying.
Yeah,
by-
that's what
by-
we-
by
that's what we
Specifically
just
saying what
say.
it points to.
Right. I can put
Point
in
to that,
language
too.
as to waterfront,
Keep them separate.
Yeah, keep them separate, refer
'em
to it,
separate.
say this is applicable at this time, must refer back to those. It's just kind of CYA.
Right.
And
bless
then,
you.
Bless you.
And specific to this zone doesn't impact once you go out to zone docks outside of the historic
Right.
zone.
Yeah.
It's just
this zone.
yes.
And
This
make,
zone.
Ken, you can make a clear statement, therefore at the end, that this excludes.
Mhm.
This does
it's
not
not
mitigate
applicable.
what's already
Other-
there.
Other lake
applicable.
law
Yeah.
properties outside the zone.
Mhm.
Just this zone.
So-
Yeah.
All right, good. I know that, Mike, you had mentioned, given a break, but I gotta be candid, I need time to work on this. I'll have it by your next meeting, but I do need some time on drafting and great comments from everybody. So if there's any other comments from the board that I need to incorporate,
We'll start down on Birgit's side.
I'm good.
Ryan?
Yeah, I'm good. I look forward to the revised
Good.
version.
Ernie's good?
I got it all out.
Okay, Jeanette's good? Chris?
Well, I have some. So page 1, B2, when we met, last time we talked about this, there is a daycare also as a use there, and that is not included here. And including that is going to become more and more important because it's also going to now be part of the Sparta school system. So I think that we need to be mindful of that, and I think that it needs to be included and added to number 2 underneath B.
is that okay, everybody?
With offices, executive and professional purposes?
It says
Wouldn't it
include
be
but
its
not
own?
limited to dentists, physicians, architect, landscapers, insurance. So
Why not just we took out number 4, why don't we just put daycare in number 4?
we could do that.
It's because this specifically says it's a principal permitted use, and not only is it going to be important because it's already there, it's going to be important because that building is going to become part of Sparta Board of
No, I agree.
Education.
No, she's just saying.
I
it
agree.
shouldn't be under offices and businesses.
Just make it its
put
own.
Number 4, just put it as a permitted use daycare. And I can
Ken.
define with Lindsay what a daycare is.
If it's part of a Board of Ed building, wouldn't that be an institutional use?
Well, I think the thought is that a daycare would be permitted whether it's private or public. So maybe you and I can work on some language on what,
The important thing is that a daycare in the school needs to be written in here, so it's protected at all costs.
okay, loud and clear. I agree that number 4, it'd be a better place for it, and I'll come up with language with Lindsay on daycare, respecting private, public.
Okay. Page 2C. It says required condition, the requirement of this zone shall be the same as C1 zone and the provisions. I think that needs to come out, because again, we're referencing C1, and and the point is to make it your own zone. So I think that this reference to C1, I think we talked about this last time, that should be removed.
Right, hold on.
I think it's pointing specifically to that subsection, 18.4.2R, and specific to that portion of historic preservation.
Yep.
So
yes.
it's not pointing to the entirety of the C1s.
Okay,
but I think if we want to
I'm okay with that.
redefine historic preservation underneath this particular ordinance.
Well, I'll have, Lindsay and I will look at this on, from a planning perspective. David, your comments are welcome also. But I think good comment, and I'll take a look at that.
and if I read it wrong, then that's fine, just leave it.
If language is always good, that's good. Good.
Also, in that same paragraph, my understanding is that when new structures go up, when things are built, when things go on in Lake Mohawk, anywhere in Lake Mohawk, the property owner needs to go before Lake Mohawk Country Club to get approval before they can even come to a planning board or go to construction or anything else. And my question is, do we think we need some language in here? Because it talks about changes, alterations, blah, 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 goes on and on and on, not limited to alteration, improvement, within the zone, notwithstanding any other provisions in the land code, preliminary and site plan approval shall be required, but it doesn't say anything about the fact that they need to go to Lake Mohawk Country Club before they come before one of the land use boards. And I'm asking the question, maybe it doesn't need to be there, but do we think it should be added in there so that it's clear?
I think it should be clear that they need to require both approvals 100%, because I think that's part of some of the issues that we've dealt with in the past, that some people think all they need to do is go to Lake Mohawk, and some people think all they need to do is go to the town. I think it should be very clear that they need to do both.
Right, so I would think that you'd want them to go to Lake Mohawk first.
Yes, yes. Absolutely.
They actually have to.
Okay, so I will
It's in
put
your
that-
checklist, right, Dave? As a, yeah.
Right, but I'll incorporate it into required conditions. I'll work on some language for that Lake Mohawk Community Country Club will be pre-approval requirement.
My last question on this is C1, signs and graphics, refer to subsection 18.5-3M, signs and the provision of subsections, blah, 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 blah. What is that 18.5.3? Do those sign ordinances, do they collide with the historic nature of Lake Mohawk Country Club and what would be acceptable in the historic zone? I'm asking.
Well, it's saying refer to subsection, but what are you referring to?
Dave, can you help us on that at all?
Because I think that's the general sign ordinance, but for
Just
what zone?
Every single zone in Sparta has to, falls under 18-5.3M. Then each of the different sections has additional codes. So you
Right.
might see additional for TCC, you'd see additional for C1. And what we'll have to do is develop something eventually for Lake Mohawk. But in the meantime, it's going to refer to whatever this other one is. I did look it up, I just can't
Right,
remember
but
what it is.
what I'm asking, I understand that, but what I'm asking is, do you need something different than that for that zone?
That's a whole big rewrite of design standards.
Okay, so think about it moving forward, but let's just make sure that what this is pointing to meets the aesthetic requirements of, because
Well, if it's implied, why we strike
18.53
it? Why does it have to be in there?
it doesn't. We could just remove it.
Lindsay, can you just leave that section out?
I think it's more David, because David's looking at signs, you know, this is not only, this is required conditions. And Dave, you have any thoughts? Not to minimize Lindsay, but.
I actually looked this ordinance up and highlighted several pages of it that is included. And it's basically entitled signs. The purpose of this subsection is to control the size, location, and character of all exterior and on-premises signs so as to provide for attractive, coordinated, and efficient signage in the township. Also, it is the intent of this chapter to promote signs which are, one, compatible with their surroundings, expressive of the identity of the individual proprietors and of community character, two, orderly, readable, and appropriate to the activity which they pertain, and three, non-distracting to motorists and do not constitute a traffic hazard. Applicability of regulations. The following regulations shall apply to all signs and outdoor advertising and shall be in addition to other regulations for specific uses elsewhere in the chapter. So it's generally, as I read it, applicable to everything.
But then it gets specific to 4.24, 12, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I.
If you don't have anything in there, people won't know what they have to follow
Yeah.
for
Right.
signs.
Okay.
It's
the
important to
only
keep
reason-
it there for now. And the
Okay.
thing is, quite frankly, to Joan's point, yes, the standards will have to incorporate a revision
Okay,
for not just that, but also the architecturals. So
it was just a clarifying question.
Absolutely.
So that's all
Mhm.
I have.
Just quickly, time frame, Ken, you're gonna draft, we're getting closer, right?
yes,
We're getting, I think, really close, so Next meeting, you'll have a final draft to be presented to then move.
Yes, and it'll be on the website so the public can see it and have
Great.
constructive comments.
Great. Mm-hmm.
Okay, when's that meeting date?
Next meeting date is September 2nd. But I understand that won't happen, it's supposed to be a joint meeting between.
So that's what I'm going with it. So that's gonna
Correct.
September 2nd, so
It's
that's
supposed
gonna
to be a
get,
joint meeting between the council and,
so then it would be
the planning board.
September 18th?
September 16th.
It's up to, you know best. It's a joint meeting with the mayor and council. Is it so terrible to discuss, or is, what's gonna go on? Is that the Highlands?
That's the Highlands,
That's
yeah.
big.
So depending upon how long that takes,
It's
I mean, we
a
can,
simple presentation is what's
we
happening
can
with
put
the
it on
joint.
as an agenda item, but depending upon how long that meeting takes, then, I
That's
mean,
fair.
it may get pushed.
That's fair.
Because we were trying to, my discussion at council was to try to keep that agenda specific for our 10-minute, half-hour presentation from the group that's coming in and not have a heavy docket on top of it. Because whose
Well-
board meeting is it? Is the planning board's meeting or is the town council's meeting
It's a
that's joint?
meeting. It's a joint
It's a
meeting
separate joint
that
meeting?
where,
Is it our regular meeting or their regular?
it's our regular meeting.
So it's our, you are, you're our.
We're the host, we're the
You're
home,
our
we're the
guest.
home
No,
field.
We're the home
We got a
field.
home
Home
field.
team, yes.
Planning board, we're
Alright.
home team.
So this should be on the following agenda. That gives us plenty of time to circulate it, get all the professionals to comment on it, and have a final clean draft, which would incorporate all these notes here that we just went through, correct? I just
So-
want to understand,
So you're
We're not carrying-
suggesting September 16th, not the 2nd?
Correct. He's suggesting September 16th, but I am unfortunately going to hold you to the second date because I would like to have a draft available for us to digest
Fair.
very well prior to.
yeah,
so
we
that can
want this
have
sooner
a
than
good-
later
yeah.
to,
I
and-
don't want to give this a deadline of the 16th and then we're kind of in the 11th hour.
and the only thing I do say, when we go through these exercises, no different than any other ordinance that we review, that this meeting just incorporated everybody's changes, concerns, you're gonna rewrite it. We don't need to revisit everything that's been discussed here. We're just gonna get ourselves caught up in a circle here. So hopefully the draft will be sanitized. We'll take a good look at it, clean it up, and present it on that 16th, right, Celeste?
Yes.
You'll have a draft on the 2nd, and and it'll be on the 16th
Does
agenda.
that work?
Sabina, you comfortable with that?
September 2nd draft, discussion with the public, September 16th.
I'm not in the country on the 16th.
Oh.
Well, let's see how the 2nd is. Let's see where we are, and
Well,
maybe
like I
you're,
said,
maybe
I
you're happy
can-
by the 2nd. Maybe
Well,
you're,
we're gonna get the draft to her.
Yes.
When are you leaving? I mean, not to say, like, is it the 16th you're not gonna be here, or the 2nd you're not gonna be here?
The 16th.
The
That
16th.
week is blacked out, yeah.
Okay, so if we get it to her
get her comments.
sooner rather than later, then she can go out of the country and with peace of mind, knowing
And
that
she can be on
everything.
YouTube and.
And
see-
she-
I
I'm
can
sure
definitely
that's
do
what
that,
she's
no
gonna do.
problem. I
I'm
will
sure.
work that out.
Because it works so well all the time,
Yes,
I'm sure.
Yes.
But I think that if we can get it to you by then, and you can get your comments back, then at least we have all of that. And then, because there's also, once we agree on it here, then as you know, it's got to go to the council and there'll be a
Understood.
hearing. And if
that's
we need
2
to change
meetings.
something, that's fine. But I think
Right.
we're just trying to get this. This
Thank-
has been 3.5
But
years in
Kristen, if I
the
may,
coming.
So people understand the process. This is where I always say, lay out a flow chart of the process, so
Whoa.
the public's very clear and everybody up here is clear. After we do it, we put this to council, it has to go to 2 council meetings. Gets introduced and then it gets heard. Then it has to come back down to us, correct?
Well, it's an interesting process in that.
Yes.
Lindsay had done a
Lindsay's-
nice job of saying the conformity, it's in conformity with our master plan. So she would, in essence, it has already been reviewed on us, but there's nothing wrong with it's introduced. Normally, it's referred to the planning board. We would say, yes, this is what we had agreed to and what we recommended. So that would be a
So
quick
when
meeting.
council gets its packet recommendations, it's going to have the supporting reports from the professionals that prevents that coming back. We're volleyballing it back and forth, correct?
It's more of just a filing requirement.
Okay.
Yes. We're
That's all. I
good.
just wanted to just know that this thing would then go either 3 meetings or 3 meetings at this point.
We would be hard pressed when it's introduced and sent to us to say it's no longer conforming after our engineer and planner and attorney have said it's
That
good.
it was, okay.
Just real
That was
quick,
it.
before we end this,
Mike didn't
do we,
have any comment.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Get a
just real
chance.
quick, Mike.
Yeah, we,
Do we want historic White Deer Plaza and Boardwalk District, or do we want the word historic at the beginning, or White Deer Plaza and Boardwalk Historic District? Do you want historic first, or do you want it after the term White Deer Plaza and Boardwalk Historic District, or historic White Deer Plaza Boardwalk District? Do you, the word historic at the beginning or at the end?
At the end, I do too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, and
Don't care.
well, we still have a
Good.
few more people who have.
Yes.
Mike,
Sorry,
do you have
Michael.
anything else that you need to say?
Sorry, Michael.
No, I'm good.
To the title, I can verify exactly what the designation states on the report.
Thank you.
For clarification, you can go with it or you can do
That would
whatever.
be, it should be in conformity.
That's
so-
fine. Can do that.
Public comment, I've seen a couple.
Before
people
we
that
end, I
they
just want to
bobbing up
know,
and down.
when this is done and you're getting ready to give it to Sabina and it comes back or whatever, the public, it should be posted somewhere. When we get it, the public should get it. Can we tell them where it's going to be? And
I
It'll
would-
be posted on the website with the agenda at the,
Will-
that's why
That's-
that's why
I
I'm
wanna make
giving
sure
Ken
they
a hard
know.
deadline of the 2nd.
yeah, because
so
they
that
need time to
we'll
look
have
at it.
And then we
won't
can
be-
post it with the agenda.
Okay.
Celeste, correct, it won't be published until Celeste, until Sabine reviews it
Right.
and gets back to us.
Right,
So
until we have the draft that we are going to discuss at the point of the meeting.
And then it'll be where everything always is.
Great.
That having been said, anybody from the public who has a general question, comment, or what have you, who wants to be heard, you're welcome to come up to the microphone.
So I heard all of you talking about,
Can we just have your name?
oh, sure, Sid Linquito. Sorry about that. I live on Lake Mohawk on West Shore Trail. And I heard lots of discussion. I think you guys said it was item 5, but since we don't have that, I'm not sure. But it was with regards to the designation as recreational. And I think it originally said all beaches, boat docks, et cetera. I am extremely concerned about that if it's the whole lake, and here's the reason. So last year, if you'll indulge me a little bit, last year the residents in Turtle Cove, which is just one of them, has a dock running down the center. The dock wanted to expand it. Sabina had to sit through all these meetings in my yappy mouth at the time. They wanted to expand that dock, and I had an architect draw up their reasoning for wanting to expand it is because they wanted larger boats. Understandable. I had an architect draw up for the existing dock, how they could reconfigure it and allow for those larger boats. The feedback from the dock committee was that's too expensive. So spent quite a bit of time doing a lot of research on that and how the impact of docks can negatively impact the residents' property value there. And it can be as high as 25% negative impact on property value. So we fought it to the board. The board ultimately approved it, much to our dismay. We were very upset about that. But you guys said, no, you're not approving it because it didn't meet the standards. As a matter of fact, what's there right now is not supposed to be there. There's 5 parking spaces, there's 21, I believe, boats. So there's not room for 21 cars or however many people are on those boats in those cars. So my concern is if you make this, what did I say it was? Recreational. If you make this a recreational, what happens is that eliminates, my understanding, not an attorney, but I read real well. That eliminates the residents and the neighbors from objecting to those changes because they no longer have to apply for a
So,
variance.
Just to clarify, what we're talking about is White Deer Plaza.
And that's my
The zone that
question.
we're speaking about is specific to the Historic Business District section.
Because
of the lake.
there's no there's some of the things that are in that are not in White Deer
And I
Plaza,
could put
which
you at
is,
peace too, if you recall, our planner had mentioned that on the waterfront that we would say that it's still subject to the other, and I think Ernie up here made reference to that. So I will, and I've agreed to incorporate that the waterfront is subject to, nothing in this ordinance minimizes or impacts, affects in any way, shape, or form the waterfront regulations.
Yeah, the only waterfront this affects is from White Deer Plaza, where the
Okay.
the mini lake is with the bridge over it.
uh-huh.
And where the dock ends to where the boardwalk ends, to where the boardwalk ends at the end of the playground.
So I would only ask that it is very clear because we don't want to fight this battle again. And we don't, it's not fair to us when there is another solution for them to have the larger boats for it to be expanded, and hurt the property values of those that live in there. So I'm not the only one saying this. I've just got the biggest mouth apparently. Who was that said that before? I guess you and I, we're sisters at heart. So that was my only concern, because when you were talking about it, and I had heard about it in advance of this meeting, not because I don't have any paperwork, and I'm not an attorney, so I would not have any idea how it's worded. I just want to make sure it doesn't impact all of those, because that's not a battle we want to fight again. So-
That's exactly why we're beating this up, to make sure we're not
No, I-
opening up
I-
some
I-
other new problem.
Right.
For Lake Mohawk or for the residents. We're
And
trying to
I
make sure we keep. it-
totally appreciate you guys, because you saved us last year by saying, wait a minute, that's not right, and we want to make sure we stay protected. It's already expensive to live there. We don't need our property values to go down. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. That's okay.
Just one quick thing. If you're taking this, if this is currently TCC, the language of the C1H needs to be reviewed because it says right in the purpose, it talks about Lake Mohawk Country Club. So just put that as a note so that you don't have conflicting ordinances.
Thank you.
Good point.
The ordinance is currently conflicting.
Being inconsistent.
Yeah, and
The C1H is already inconsistent.
That refers to Lake Mohawk. Okay. That having been said, we're going to take the agenda out of order a little bit. We're going to do correspondence and updates really quickly before we move into an executive session. So we will start with town council. Mike? Okay. Seeing as though there's no environmental commission liaison today, I will move forward with subcommittees. Master Plan Subcommittee will meet on the 26th of this month to go over the presentation that's intended to be prepared and presented at the joint meeting on September 2nd. Additional subcommittee meetings schedule is pending, providing I get updated information in terms of availability. And then we will be capable of putting together a better schedule of additional presentations for master plan segments. Minor site plan subcommittee, we have had 32 applications to date. I believe we are only pending 2 at this time in terms of approvals. Yeah, that is it with regard to minor site plan. So, Mike, do you have any updates? Sure.
Microphone?
Oh, the presentation on the 2nd, that is with Highlands who?
That is with the Highlands Council.
Council.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so the joint meeting, everybody is aware that we're having that on the 2nd, and that's confirmed, correct?
Providing council is coming, if we're noticed, if council is noticed.
And there's got to be a notice for that, right?
Yes.
Okay. That was the only information from council that I could recall right now. And that should be it.
Okay, we will move very quickly in case there's any other board business. Birgit? Brian? Ron?
No.
Jeanette, Christine?
Get ready. No.
Oh, my goodness. Mike,
There
other
you
board
go.
business?
No, no.
Mike and Mike?
No.
Okay, Joan, any other board
Depends.
business?
We talked last time, we were gonna have, I don't know, a couple meetings ago, and under executive session, Birgit had wanted to have one, and we had some that other stuff to discuss. If we can include that under the executive session, the legal chatter there instead of here.
Okay. All that having been said, we will open it up to the public for comments and questions for matters and items that are not on the agenda.
Just asking some follow-up questions before you go into executive about Diamond Chip. The status of Diamond Chip, so they lost their appeal in New Jersey Appellate Court, but they're still, in the civil case is still pending in the federal court. It's my understanding there's been 2 mediation sessions, is that correct?
I don't know. I'm not involved in the federal matter. There is a federal matter going on. I only know ancillarily about it. I don't have firsthand knowledge of
Okay.
the federal.
Mike, you were in on it, though.
Excuse me?
You were in on it, the settlement.
Were there-
Conference.
You had 2 meetings with
For-
the,
There was no other meetings with
so,
that.
okay, but there were the 2. And then you're saying that DCR is scheduled to come back. When are they coming back?
There is a public reference from the property owner that they want to come on November 4th.
And so they're coming back even though the members of the board who would be hearing this will have the federal civil rights violation case hanging over them.
We have an obligation by the appellate division to give them a hearing date within 45 days. We've given them that option, and they have chosen to go beyond the 45 days and chose the November date. Just as if it was your property and you had an application pending, you can determine what hearing date, if you're vested, if you're complete.
Right, I
So-
understand that, but the issue is that what is going to protect the members of that board from any implications in the federal civil case?
Well, if the mayor and
you put
council,
the-
if the mayor and council through the town attorney or their special counsel advises a basis that we should not hear the matter, we will look at it and review it. But at this time, I'm not aware of any prohibition. We have a directive from the appellate division that we have to give them a hearing, and that is what we have done. We've given them a hearing date.
So I know you're not involved with the federal case, but have you asked or have you had anyone ask on your behalf for guidance from the federal court about how to proceed?
I cannot advise you if anything that was told to me, attorney-client privilege. It is pending litigation, but I am not involved in that matter.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. I thought that this was going to be part of executive session tonight, so I'm really taken by surprise right now that we're talking about this, because I thought specifically that.
This is
was-
public.
Birgit,
No, no, no,
I am
Jenny,
not,
completely-
Birgit, I'm
let me
only
just
given.
Finish here.
Okay.
I completely understand, but I thought that this was something that was going to be discussed in executive session tonight.
Okay,
That is a very good point. I'm only giving factual information, and good point. I could, again, I'm only giving factual information, and we are going into closed session to discuss other issues related to this matter. DCR, thank you.
So going on, they're coming back theoretically on 11/4. You had submitted a letter to them, they being Diamond Chip, publicly. You said that in your letter, you said that they are administratively dismissed. And so under what circumstances will their case be coming back to this board?
It's pending litigation. I cannot advise that any further.
And can you tell me who will be sitting on the Sparta Diamond Chip Planning Board?
I cannot at this time, but that will become public record.
how is that not public?
It will become public record. It's just at this time, I cannot give you my legal opinion. You can do simple math, you can look at the judge's opinion, but I am not prepared, because of the pending litigation, to give anything further at this time. But it will be public at, absolutely prior to the November 4th hearing.
Okay. There is concern, I've been doing this for a while, and conflict always comes up, the issue of conflict, and this is in no way a personal conversation or discussion, but the concept of conflict is always around, whether it's warranted or not. And conflict comes in many forms, and most conflict that people think about and the courts look at and the legislation addresses are pecuniary. But there are also non-pecuniary circumstances where there is conflict. And there are many, over the years, I've had a lot of discussions back with Tom Ryan and all kinds of, all other experts on this. And some of the questions that arise are with Mr. Sylvester about a conflict. And again, not a pecuniary conflict, but because you've sat in on the, because Mr. Sylvester has sat in on the mediation sessions, there could be the consideration that there would be, it wouldn't be impartial for him to hear. Again, Mike, it's not personal. This is just process. From Michael Payne, New Jersey Practice Series, which is a treatise on this topic, would an impartial and concerned citizen, intelligent and appraised of all the facts and the situation, feel that there was potential for non-objectivity on the part of the office holder making a decision? If the answer is affirmative, the appearance of conflict exists. That's just one of many. There is a court ruling, finding out of Lafayette Township, actually, on this topic. One particular on point is Thompson versus Atlantic City, where the public confidence requires that municipal officials avoid the conflict interests, and on and on. So I would just ask that you would consider, since you haven't confirmed who's on that board or not, consider that the public has an interest in being represented by somebody that's free of any, even the perception of a conflict. Again, Mike, not personal, just process. And I think that everybody would like this to be done as fairly as possible, so I will leave it at that for now.
I prefer you don't. That's, our comment was made on the public session.
Because this is pending litigation, there's going to be time, hopefully in the future, that I'll be able to really tell you what's going on with all these litigation matters, okay?
Certainly.
So conflicts come perceived and real.
Yep.
And I think.
That's what I just said.
Historically, through this particular case, I was the only one that was not conflicted. So I'm pretty proud of that, being
Okay.
representing the former planning board and current council. I mean, I know you're coming at me for certain reasons. I'm not taking it personally. I'm just.
Right, it's not personal, it's
you're bringing it
process.
up, and I'm entitled to at least comment on that. So
Yeah.
I think that board's going to be determined, right, Ken?
Right.
At some point.
I do not see a conflict at this point, but you're so noted, and we'll see how that goes.
All right, I appreciate it.
DCR may not even go forward on November 4th. We don't know.
Oh, you also, I did have one other question. You made a comment at the last meeting, it was after executive, so I watched it on the video, that DCR would decide how many members are beyond this board?
You know, it's an interesting question. Let's say you have an application before the board. This is a 9-member board. You're entitled, in my opinion, to a full board. Let's say you come to a hearing, and there's 7 members here, and you need 4 affirmative votes. And 2 of the members that are absent are ones that you may have respected or thought their vote should be included. So, and the Municipal Land Use Act, this is a 9-member board, and if I was the applicant and I wanted 9 members, the board would have to, in my opinion, provide 9 members. So let's say we can only provide 7, then 2 senior members from the Board of Adjustment would be brought over.
And
So-
that's if zoning, if the applicant is asking for that.
That's an interesting question, too. We have a quorum, and let's say, we say, do we have to? I have not researched that, but again, we are a 9-member board. Forget about DCR, think of yourselves. Would you want all 9 members? I personally would want a full board. My odds are better, but that's me. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Or not. There you go.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other members of the public? Seeing none, we will move into executive session. I will give it to you, Ken.
Yes, just real quickly, we do not need the board engineer or planner for closed session, so I have no objection if you would discharge them, or?
Have a great night.
Can I just ask a follow-up question to what Jenny was asking and you and?
Would you prefer it in closed session, or is it a
No,
public?
it's a general question. So if we had an applicant here, you know, like we've had one applicant in the past, they came 5 times. And there's somebody absent at the last meeting, they could defer the vote?
I don't want to mix apples and oranges.
Because
The-
if they say we want the full board complement,
You know,
Right.
are there a lot of, good night, are there a lot of published opinions on it? Again, the Municipal Land Use Act, Sparta established 9 members. You are volunteers, but the public is entitled to a full complement. If you have 8 and somebody's not here and you have a quorum, and they need that vote and they file an appeal and they say that we asked to have it carried and you said no, I think that's a reversible error. So,
all right, but they would have to ask. It wouldn't be just somebody's absent, we have 8, because we had, I thought the law was if you had a quorum, you could take your vote.
if you have a quorum, you can open the meeting and you qualify under the Open Public Meeting Act. Under the Municipal Land Use Act, we have other standards and requirements. So again, we're talking hypothetical. I don't want to give an opinion on somebody who was at one meeting and not at the next meeting. We don't know if the applicant is asking for it. We don't know if the board's asking for the vote. So there's too many other ancillary issues.
Just interesting.
It's a good law school exam,
And this is why you have alternates.
and this is why I stay in business.
Well, I was figuring if they weren't there and
No,
you,
I said this is why we have alternates.
Oh, yes.
but if they weren't there, or just there were 3 people absent, you know, during holidays or
Yep,
whatever, I was
it-
just,
yep.
in general.
Yep.
Okay, so Ken, take it away.
All right,
Motion.
gang, we're going to go, I need a motion to go into closed session. We're going to talk about Diamond Chip Realty, Sparta Land Company, and also there was a discussion that was carried on a prior agenda as far as Beardred raised as far as oversight of the planning board. Those 3 matters, we will not be coming back out making a decision. We will only be discussing them. I'm not looking for any decision on any of those matters. So the public we will not be coming back out to make a decision.
Are we
So-
adjourning after this?
You will have to open up
We'll open back up and then
and
adjourn.
then adjourn.
Take a quick break.
But you're not making any conversation after the.
Correct. Correct. All right, so vote to go into closed session, please.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Christine Quinn?
Yes.
Yes.
Ron Day?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Joan Furman?
Yes.
Ernie Ragsdale?
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Burke?
Yes.
Brian Zimmerman?
Yes.
Birgit Bobler?
Yes.
Chairwoman Luciano?
Yes. Okay, we are officially in closed session. Good night, Jenny. Yes.
Night.
So before we get started, everybody who wants to use the restroom?